This is Rabbi Mark Kunis and my taste of Torah for Parshat Re'eh 5780. This week's Torah portion begins, Re'eh Anochi Noten Lifnechem Hayom, see I set before you today, Bracha Klala, a blessing and a curse. The Torah is telling us that it's up to us to choose. In a few weeks, the Torah will implore us, Uvacharta B'chayim, choose life. What does it mean to choose life, to choose blessing, to choose curse? Can we choose to be blessed with a healthy baby? Who would choose to get coronavirus? What is the Torah really saying to us when it calls upon us to choose? Choose what? We can't always choose what will happen to us. How much of life is simply out of our control? But we can choose how we will respond to what happens to us. And it is this response that brings blessings or curses into our lives. In my former shul in Brooklyn, New York, I had two members who suffered terrible, debilitating health problems. Both men were in their mid-60s, but how they coped with their circumstances was in marked contrast to each other and taught us about making choices. The first suffered a serious stroke which left him paralyzed on his left side. He had loved to write, tapping out words with his left index finger, he was a lefty, on an old typewriter he brought with him from Germany. When I visited him, he cried out to me that he could no longer write. I suggested that he try using his right index finger to type. I assured him with time and training, many had done it before and he could too. But he refused to even try. He died 3 years later, never writing a word. He just sat in his den, angry at God and life. He chose darkness and lived his remaining years embittered. My other congregant was sprayed with a strong chemical in his paint factory in his eyes and left him completely blind. If anybody had a reason to curse the darkness, he did. He had to retire from this business that he created and loved, and this independent man now needed constant attention. But in becoming blind, he came to realize the ways in which blind people in our society experience discrimination, how difficult it was to access many buildings, to ride on city buses, to get the attention of people in stores and restaurants. Rather than sit in darkness, this blind man went out into the light and became a champion for human rights, for the blind, for the deaf, for the disabled. He sat on city and state commissions. He testified before Congress. He did not wallow in pity. He chose light and saw more than many of us sighted people see. See, I've set before you today a blessing and a curse. Today in this verse in the Torah means today and every day God sets this choice before us. You see, who doesn't hurt somewhere? Who doesn't have a reason to complain about something? We may not choose to be in pain, but we can choose how we respond to our pain. We can't allow our aches and complaints to overwhelm us and drown us in darkness. We must look beyond our hurts, see our circumstances as opportunities for the growth of our souls, and channel the energy we would spend in complaining and crying into ways to benefit ourselves and others. It's a real choice, and it's ours to make. My friends, this Shabbat we will announce the beginning of the new month of Elul before Rosh Hashanah. It's time to begin to think seriously about life's choices. Like the blind man, the Torah implores us, Uvacharta b'chayim, let us always choose to live in the light as we choose life. Have a great Shabbos.